European stock markets are open for trade. In the early stages of this market, we're picking up on what was a strong finish for the Nasdaq. Tech very much back in focus in the States, despite an escalation in yields. That should be a natural hurdle for the tech sector. But separate features away from the cost of capital, the Jackson Hole Symposium this week and what that could mean for monetary policy. That separate theme has been something that has been huge for a lot of investors this year, namely artificial intelligence. And this week, Nvidia's out with numbers. We saw movement in the stock for some investors worried that they could be missing out on the action again. A pop in the stock of 8.5%. Semiconductor index stateside also bouncing. So again, underpinning the technology surge that we saw yesterday. We're picking up on a day here that was somewhat muted. We were flatlining on the benchmark, the stock Europe 600 as we wrapped up the trade. The individual markets, a little bit of weakness on the FTSE again. So the handover from the States was positive for some quarters. The Dow was in the red, though, keep in mind, because of that broader story still around monetary policy. So a lot of positive features here to pick up on, but also some negatives. But at this stage, it's the positives that we're leaning into. We are moving strongly into the green. We've bounced about 0.5% in the initial stages and not much in terms of red on that heat map behind me. Let's take a look at the top performers at a sector level, and the starting point this morning. Right out in front is technology, I can tell you. So we are picking up on that Nasdaq lead. At the bottom, oil and gas. It is a weak component of this market this morning. Fraction down. BP, one of the weaker ones this morning, and Shell both giving up a little bit of territory. And the sector, you can see, just slipping a little bit in contrast to broad-based gains across the rest of this market. Household goods, food and drink, two fairly defensive parts of this market, somewhat left behind the rally, some of the underperformers as we start out, but crucially still green arrows at this point. Insurance names up about 1/3%. Utilities also improving in healthcare, but again, these defensive names towards the bottom of this chart this morning. Media stocks, ITV, a bounce of near on 2.5%. That is a stronger trade along with media. Banks up 0.5%. Santander, one of the better ones. BBVA, the likes of Danske, ABN AMRO, some of the top performers this morning. Fairly decent gains at the start. Travel leisure, Accor getting an early nudge higher. Industrials, autos firming up this morning. Real estate 0.6 higher. Top performers today, construction, basic resources, that is a decent bounce. Despite numbers out of BHP today showing us a challenging narrative on the China picture, the commodity prices, and also on the dividend. But the sector is high today, and it is technology out in front again after those gains on the Nasdaq. A lot of chatter around the ARM IPO as well, throwing another light on the semiconductors as well as that Nvidia story. So the sector not able to ignore some of those cues today, and you've got very strong moves there. Let's take a look at what the indices are doing as a result. The FTSE 7272. So we are leaning higher. We've got about 14 extra points this morning, or 0.2%. But after 6 negative sessions in a row, a lot of slippage. I've got to say, it's not much of a bounce this morning on the FTSE, so somewhat lackluster in that context. 0.4 up on the French market, but outpaced by stocks in Germany, 0.5% on that market, in lockstep with some of the peripheral markets. Italy, Spain, very firm picture this morning out of those particular indices. The SMI up 40 points now, or just over 1/3%. So green right across these boards today. Let's take a look at Microsoft and Activision. The latest news here is that they've struck a fresh deal for the tech giant to acquire the games maker after the UK's Competition and Markets Authority confirmed its blocking of Microsoft's original proposal for the Call of Duty developer. The CMA said it has opened a fresh investigation of the restructured deal and that it can be completed by the October deadline. Look at the stocks listed in Frankfurt today, from Microsoft to Activision Blizzard, both of those slightly lower. But Ubisoft, which is one of the winners out of this, it is seeing a tick high in the share price. It is up 4.7%. Arjun, we've been discussing this morning. Just walk us through some of the merits of the CMA's latest proposal here in its negotiations with Microsoft.
Yeah, very much. UBS